All right, welcome to another 10-minute episode of Everything Sports with Aman and Evan. I'm your host, Evan Garber, and today going to be talking about the 2024 NFL Pro Bowl rosters. Going to be going for each position. Start off with the AFC. Start off with quarterback position. We got Tua, Lamar, and Mahomes. I honestly think that's perfect, although I do think Lamar should be the starter. I mean, Lamar is MVP favorite right now. It's pretty obvious right now. I mean, you could argue Josh Allen here, but I just feel like 16 interceptions is way too unacceptable. Don't think that he deserves to be a Pro Bowl, especially since they might miss the playoffs at this point. They're in a win or go home situation on Sunday, I believe, or Saturday, Sunday. I think Sunday, I believe. Running back, we got Raheem Mostert and James Cook. I think they're pretty good, but Henry, a third guy, I would probably put ETN or Brees Hall over him. Brees Hall is currently averaging 1395 scrimmage yards, 8 touchdowns. Sorry, he has Brees Hall is 1395 scrimmage yards, 8 touchdowns, and he's third in the NFL in yards after catch per reception. Travis Etienne, 1,397 scrimmage yards, 12 touchdowns, and Derrick Henry, which has 1,228 scrimmage yards and 11 touchdowns. I definitely would put Brees Hall and Etienne over him. If I had to choose one, I'd probably put Brees Hall over Etienne and Derrick Henry. Wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, and Jamar Chase. They all make sense. I'm in the top four in receiving yards in the AFC, so it's perfect there. Tight end, Travis Kelsey and David Njoku. It makes sense, although Evan Ingram and David Njoku is pretty close. Um, Yardage is pretty close and everything else, but I think Njoku is more beneficial to his team. Defensive end, we got Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and Trey Henderson, which all makes sense. You could argue that Hendrickson deserves to be the starter as he is the sack leader in the NFL. So you could put Hendrickson over Myles Garrett, but it seems like Myles Garrett's going to win DPOY. So I guess it makes sense that Myles Garrett is the starter at that position. Chris Jones, Quinnen Williams, and Justin Matabuke, they all make sense at D tackle. Really just the three best tackles in the AFC. Outside linebacker, you got TJ Watt, Josh Allen, and Khalil Mack. I mean, they all make sense. Obviously, they're the top four in the NFL in sacks behind Hendrickson. I believe it's TJ Watt, Josh Allen, and Khalil Mack finish out the top four as 2, 3, and 4 guys. Middle linebacker, you got Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith. I think it makes sense, although it is kind of weird having two Ravens at middle linebacker in the Pro Bowl. Maybe there is some middle linebacker that I just missing that maybe deserves a spot over one of those guys. Maybe Quincy Williams. I believe it's Quincy Williams. I believe it's Quincy Williams on the Jets. Maybe he deserves some more love there. Cornerback, Sauce Gardner, Denzel Ward. They both make sense, but I definitely would take L'Jarius Sneed over PS2 and Ramsey. Now, PS2 definitely has a down season this year, and Ramsey, he's been good, I would say. I mean, it definitely helps to have him now that Xavier Howard is injured, so he's been a big part of that Dolphins team. But Sneed has less yards per completion, lower completion percentage, and giving up zero touchdowns on the season. Zero touchdowns on the season. That's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. Especially for a Chiefs defense that's been keeping them in the fight, sitting the offensive struggles. I think L'Jarius Sneed definitely deserves a lot more love, and he should be in the Pro Bowl. Free safety, Justin Simmons and Minkah Fitzpatrick, they both make sense. Definitely two best free safeties in the AFC. And strong safety, Kyle Hamilton, he also makes sense. And kicker, I wouldn't really talk about kicker most of the time, but when you have this kind of discrepancy, I guess, I get it. Tucker's the best kicker in the NFL most of the time, but this year Justin Hopkins was absolutely insane. Hopkins making 33 of 36 field goals and a long of 58 yards, and Tucker making 31 of 36 and a long of 50. Now I do know that Hopkins struggled more than Tucker on extra points, which of course should be very, very easy in the NFL. Like, if you miss extra points, you kind of suck if you're an NFL kicker. But I think Hopkins deserved it over Justin Tucker. But now I'll move on to the NFC quarterback position. Purdy and Dak, they both make sense, but I personally believe that Goff and Hurts both deserve it over Stafford. Hurts for sure, but Goff is a bit closer. Goff, actually, well, I guess you could say Goff actually deserves him more than Hurts, maybe, possibly. But Goff has 290 more passing yards than Stafford, and Hurts has 374 more total yards than Stafford. So I definitely think those two guys deserve out Stafford. Although Stafford has gotten the most out of a guy like Puka Nacua, who, of course, has been absolutely insane. He should win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Puka Nacua has been absolutely a stud. Although CJ Stroud will probably win it actually, but Puka Nacua definitely deserves some more love. Running back, we got CMC and Kyron. They both make sense, but DeAndre Swift as the third guy. I don't really like that at all. I do think Rachaad White and Jahmyr Gibbs both deserve it over DeAndre Swift. Rachaad White had 1,446 scrimmage yards, 9 touchdowns. Swift with 1,263 scrimmage yards and 6 touchdowns. And Jahmyr Gibbs, in 2 less games, he had 1,231 scrimmage yards and 10 touchdowns. So just 32 yards behind Swift and 4 more touchdowns in 2 less games. I don't really see how DeAndre Swift deserves it over Gibbs for sure. I mean, even White too. Just Rachaad White blew him out by 200 yards so far and 3 touchdowns. I definitely think both of those guys deserve it over DeAndre Swift. If they had to choose between Rachaad White and Jahmyr Gibbs, I'd probably go with Rachaad White just because Jahmyr Gibbs did miss out 2 games. Although Gibbs definitely deserves a whole lot of love. Wide receiver, we got CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, and Puka Nacua. They make sense. But Mike Evans as the 4th guy, it's a bit iffy. I definitely would choose Brandon Ayuk and Amon-Ra St. Brown over Mike Evans. Amon-Ra St. Brown having 1,371 yards on 112 receptions and 9 touchdowns. Mike Evans, 1,233 yards, 76 receptions, and 13 touchdowns. Ayuk, 1,317 yards on 72 receptions and 7 touchdowns. And Ayuk is the yards per reception leader, so I definitely would put those 2 guys over Mike Evans. If I had to choose one, I'd probably put Amon-Ra, although Ayuk is pretty close. Tight end, Kittle and Laporta, they both make sense, obviously, 2 of the best tight ends in the league. Defensive end, Nick Bosa, Montez Sweat, Aiden Hutchinson, they all make sense, of course. I mean, of course, they're the 3 of the best defensive ends in the league. Defensive tackle, Aaron Donald, Dexter Lawrence, and Javon Hargrave. Honestly, that makes sense, although Derek Brown definitely deserves some more love. He's pretty close, I would say, to Hargrave and Dexter Lawrence. But I do think it's because of the sacks. Derek Brown's not a sack guy. He's more of a run-stopper guy versus Hargrave, Lawrence, and Donald. They get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, so that's why they get a lot more love. Micah Parsons, Daniel Hunter, and Hassan Reddick as outside linebackers, they all make sense, but Demario Davis is honestly pretty close. But I do think Parsons, Hunter, and Reddick are the right guys in that position. Middle linebacker, we got Fred Warner, Bobby Wagner. They all make sense. I mean, those are two best middle linebackers in the NFL. 2 best defenders in the NFL, honestly. So those guys definitely make sense. Cornerback, we got Deron Bland, Travarius Ward, Jalen Johnson, and Devon Witherspoon. Those guys all make sense. Devon Witherspoon, he has a chance to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't think he'll end up winning it, but definitely has the shot to do it. Deron Bland, of course, interceptions leader. Deron Bland is absolutely insane. Kind of the Trayvon Diggs of last season, but honestly better, honestly. And, of course, Diggs out for the season. Deron Bland has been absolutely huge for the Cowboys. Free safety, Jesse Bates, he makes sense. Budda Baker and Julian Love at strong safety, they make sense as well. And then Brandon Aubrey at kicker, he makes sense. So, overall, I would say the voters got most of it right. Definitely some changes that I would make, some question marks, but of course, it is mostly the fan voting. I believe it's all fan voting, actually. It's a popularity contest for sure. So that's why some of these guys got in over the guys that deserved it, like Derrick Henry. He's pretty popular. A lot of Eagles, a lot of Niners, a lot of Cowboys. Like, those teams are very popular in the NFL, so that makes a lot of sense. But comment down below what you guys think about the NFL Pro Bowl rosters, and let me know what changes you guys make and who you guys think got snubbed.